What's the situation at your residence in Lahore right now, and what do you fear can happen in the next 24 hours?
What will happen in the next 24 hours, I have no idea.
Before your arrest, you had many, many times said that if something happens to you, there will be violence, and that your supporters will not spare anyone. Do you and your party leaders take any responsibility for the violence that happened?
Absolutely not. And the reason is very simple. Whenever we say there will be protests, they have always been peaceful protests. Now remember, this is my 27th year in politics. Name me one time I've given a statement where I've said that we will indulge in violence. We have always said that we will stay within the Constitution, within the law of the land, but protest is a democratic and constitutional right. When they tried to kill me, surely then there should have been arson and burning down buildings. It didn't happen. The moment the army picked me up, there was always going to be a reaction. Or when they abducted me, proved by the Supreme Court that it was abduction, unlawful, there was always going to be a reaction.
You have used aggressive language many, many times, saying things like, I will hang these thieves upside down. Don't you think that when these kind of statements come from a leader, that they create a sense of not just anger, but also a sense of entitlement, that if we're angry and we're upset, we are entitled to go out and do whatever we want to express that anger?
Look, this is not true. Well, then why did they do it before? Why haven't they done it for 27 years?
But you didn't provide any proof even to your supporters.
How can I provide proof when there's no investigation? This is my democratic, my constitutional right, that if I suspect someone, they should be investigated. Then they can prove their innocence. I wasn't allowed my right to have a proper investigation. So, must remember the background behind it. There's a huge amount of suspicion. There's a lot of fear that they would pick me up. So I have time and again said, look, if you want to come and arrest me, just come up with a warrant and I will give myself up.
So when they brought you a warrant in mid-March, why didn't you give yourself up at that time?
Because it was illegal. All you're seeing right now, the crackdown on PTI, is to somehow make us so weak that we can't compete in the elections.
Okay, so lately you have very openly criticized the army chief. Your predecessors, when you were in government, and your opponents would criticize the military's top leadership for meddling in politics, you said that they were committing treason. If their criticism of army's top leadership was treason, how is your criticism of that leadership any different?
So you have to put this in context. Just remember in what context I was talking about. The context was very simple. Nawaz Sharif and his daughter were blaming the army chief that he was responsible for him getting convicted. This was the gist. Everyone should know it was a 2 years case in the Supreme Court, and then there was a joint investigation committee which found him guilty. So all I was saying is that, just because he was convicted by the Supreme Court, he was blaming the judges and the chief and the army chief. It was in that context I was speaking. Right now, the reason why I named the army chief was because I was abducted inside the high court precincts by the army. So the army cannot act without permission from the number one. This is how the army works. So that's why I named him.
But you don't see any difference in the fact that you called one person's criticism treason, but your criticism is not treason. I mean, they had their reasons, you have your reason.
You can't compare the two. I mean, to have someone unlawfully abducted confirmed by the Supreme Court called my abduction unlawful. So how can you compare that? The same Supreme Court finds the other person, Nawaz, guilty after 2 years. Remember, it was 2 years investigation that took place. This is what we call moral equivalence. By actually equating two different things, you actually make them equal. They're not equal.
Your relationship with the military and particularly the top leadership, how do you now expect to repair it?
I have no problem. I never had a problem with the army chief. In fact, several times, when I thought he was he would be saying, I would hear that he was saying these things about me which weren't true, I would try to reach out to him to clear the issues. But the problem is from his side. It's not from my side. I mean, why would I? Who wants to take on the army of your own country? How can you do that? I mean, no political party. And even if you win, the country goes down. You don't want to weaken your own army. So let me repeat, the issue is not from my side. It's from his side. And for the life of mine, I can't work out what is in his mind that he's decided that whatever happens, Imran Khan should not come to power.
Former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, thank you very much for speaking with Voice of America.
Thank you. Thank you.